If you're a 3D artist, then you already know how tough it can be to make money, find consistent work, and actually get paid what you're worth. But if you can get these 5 things right, you can go from small freelance gigs to a 6-figure 3D career, doing exactly what you love with real financial freedom. So in this video, I'm taking everything I've learned from going from complete beginner to building my own 6-figure business and having my work go viral and attracting some of the biggest brands in the world. And I'm going to be turning all of that into a simple 5-step framework. This is the exact roadmap I'd follow if I had to start my 3D journey completely from scratch today. So let's get into it. Find your niche. So why do we need to find our niche? It's something that everyone is always telling us to do. But, for me, when I first started, I kind of just wanted to try everything. I wanted to learn music visualizers, do Apple commercials, car commercials. And so I did. I just started making a bunch of different things that I liked at that time or was inspired by. What I found was that I didn't really have a portfolio that felt cohesive. Like, people didn't know exactly what I did. Compare that to going to a restaurant and you go and you look at their menu and you see that they have pretty much every food item you could think of. They have tacos, sushi, hamburgers, burritos, like you name it. They have whatever you want, which sounds good in theory, but when you're looking at the menu, you probably don't know what exactly they're good at. You don't trust that they could make one thing particularly good. So compare that to going to an Italian restaurant. You would know exactly what you're getting right when you walk in. You know what their specialty is, and it's just a lot easier to trust that they know what they're doing. So the same thing almost goes for our portfolio. When we are trying to attract people to pay us, we really need to build trust with them. We need to have them come to our menu and just very clearly see what we're good at. So for me, I didn't actually find my niche until just dabbling with so many different things. Once I leaned into the automotive space as my niche, I started to realize my portfolio was starting to feel a lot more cohesive and a lot more clear to anyone that was coming to view my site or my portfolio. So the ultimate goal with finding our niche is really to just build trust, because when people trust us, they're more likely to hire us. And also when we have a niche, it's a lot easier to know what tools that we're going to need for the job. Like for me, I spent so much time trying to learn characters and simulations and things that I actually just never use today. So if I knew my niche earlier on, it would have been a lot easier for me to not waste time trying to learn and do the tutorials that I probably would never actually use. So the next step is actually getting good at our niche. We can't just expect to find a niche and then people hire us right away. We actually have to show that we put in the work to get good and we learned this and we know it and we're better than other people at it. And how do we get good? So when I was learning 3D, I noticed very quickly that I was going down YouTube rabbit holes, trying to find all the different tutorials, and I felt like it was really scattered. I wasn't following any sort of plan, and I would get these quick one-off projects where I was good at this very particular thing, but I found my mind felt so cluttered, I wasn't actually learning from A to Z. And while you can definitely go down that road, I found that I progressed and leveled up so much quicker when I actually just paid for a course. The main benefit that I noticed for a course is that it's all very structured, because I feel like the paid courses are where they reveal all their secrets. They don't hold anything back. And also courses have these, project-based systems where you're learning by doing projects. After we feel like we know enough about our niche and the software that we're using and the tools that we're using, it's really going to allow us to build a portfolio. We don't need to have a ton of projects in our portfolio. We just need to have 2 to 3 good projects or videos that we can showcase that we're proud of. But ultimately, you can get away with just one really banging video. One cool video is enough to convince someone that you know what you're doing. The last part of this system that I think is the most important part is figuring out how to provide value. When I first started, I just wanted to make cool 3D videos. I didn't really care what anyone else wanted. I was just this is for me, I'm having fun. And that definitely taught me a lot. I liked doing it, it's fun, but I also wanted to make an actual career out of this. So we have to sort of get in the mindset of someone who's willing to pay us. What is going to be valuable to them? There's money in someone else's bank account, and they're so willing to give it to us, just as long as they see or believe that we're going to solve a problem for them, or they see value in the work that we are doing. So it's kind of simple. You just think about your niche and what would someone that's willing to pay you Like, what would they want to see? Like for me, for example, I wanted to make car commercials. So like I know that a car company is like they want to see that I can do an actual car commercial. I need to demonstrate that. So I kind of got in the mindset of making like a car commercial that looked like a car commercial. And when I did that, I found that I had a lot of results. Like my first car commercial I made, Ford commented on it and they reached out and they were like stoked that I made something like that for them. So the next step is to market your work. This is one step that completely changed my entire career. This has allowed me to earn over 6 figures a year just by doing this one thing right. Now let's get into it. When I first started out, I really didn't want to post any of my work on social media. I thought like people should come to me. I shouldn't have to play this social media game. I was scared to be judged by my work. And ultimately, like I just didn't post it. And that was like my biggest downfall. But one day I saw this guy made a fake Pepsi ad in his basement. And he created this prompt in the beginning that said, I made a fake Pepsi ad. Here are the results. And the video blew up like tens of millions of views. And I was like, what if I do the same exact thing, but for one of my pieces? And so I had like an Apple headphone commercial that I made right after a course. And I slapped that guy's prompt onto my video, but just changed it to an Apple headphones commercial. And overnight, it blew up. I had 4 million views the next day, 8 million, 12 million. It just kept going. And I was like super overwhelmed. But I remember I was like, this is like, I have something, like there's something here for posting my work on social media. And so after that, I made a fake Ford commercial and I posted that and it blew up as well. And after that, a fake Rolls-Royce commercial, all using the same prompt. And it's because I not only just posted my work, but I thought about like how to market it on social media, how to get attention to like a potential brand. And not only a potential brand, but if I can make others stop at this, I could probably get someone who works at these companies to stop and watch this. After I made a fake Rolls-Royce commercial, that's when BMW reached out to me and they were like, look, we want you to make the same exact videos for us. We want to do 4 videos this year. And that was my first like big break, like my first big project. So we have to post our work on social media because you never know who's watching or what doors it'll open. A lot of what I've learned is that opening hooks and prompts really helps someone to like stop scrolling. It gives them context of why they should just stop and watch your video. I actually have like a saved album on my Instagram, which is just like prompts and stuff that I see other people do, because we really don't need to reinvent the wheel. If something's already working for someone else, like we can just use something very similar and gear it towards our work. Also, a great way to showcase your work is behind the scenes. People like seeing your process. So like you can show a quick behind the scenes of like, look, I made this and I did it in 30 days. It was a challenge. Here's the results. Check it out. But just because we make prompts and hooks doesn't really guarantee that we're going to go viral every time. Like for me, I still make videos and they just don't go viral. And I'm like, this was the best thing ever. How could you guys not like this? So if we want to be even more aggressive, we can knock on the right doors. Like say we have, a company, we really want them to see our video. We can go and try and knock on their door ourselves. So I don't know if you're like me, but you've probably heard that like it's a numbers game. We need to send 100 emails a day and eventually someone's going to reach out to us. And I've tried that many times and I've like failed miserably many times. And I felt like I just wasted a ton of my time trying to like write the right email and just blast it. And so what I was doing was kind of like the spray and pray method, where I was just like hitting everyone with my email and hoping that they were going to write back to me. And I found that very few even did. So what I learned is that you have to target the right people instead of just sending a bunch of emails to a bunch of random people. And to do that, we need to look for the right roles in a company. For example, we need to figure out who's the decision maker in a company. And usually they have a specific title. Some of them are marketing managers, creative directors, producers, executive producers. These are the roles that we want to find on a particular company's site or LinkedIn. And we're going to go and target this person because they're ultimately going to have the say to give you the job or not. And you're just going to have a lot higher potential to actually getting in contact with someone that might need you. So I'm going to show you a super quick hack on how you can actually just get whoever's email you want, depending on their name, role, whatever. So we're just going to go to this website called Hunter.io, and Hunter.io basically finds out a company's like email structure. You know, if it's like first dot last name at whatevercompany.com, Hunter.io does that for you. So you can create an account for free, and you get like 50 free searches. So let's just use this watch company called Jacob & Co, for example. You just have to find their website, like jacobandco.com, and then we'll copy this, and then back on Hunter.io, we will go to this Finder tab right here, and we're just going to paste the website, Jacob & Co's website. So right away we see like we have this guy Serge here. Serge is the global marketing director. I might go for him. I might go for someone maybe that sounds a little bit smaller than him, perhaps this David guy right here. And right away we have his email, and we can tell that their template is, you know, first and last name. It looks like this guy, David Longo, it's his first and last name, and then Serge is the first name. So I also would go down to this design area, and we'd see this creative director. I would definitely get his email and, you know, just copy that, and we can just send all of these guys a copy and paste email. So now that we've made it this far, we have our niche, our projects, we're reaching the right people. A lot of us get into a position where we're in a conversation or a meeting and the talk of price comes up. How much do you charge? If you're like me, when I started, I was like, I don't know. I've even like thrown out like a random number that came to my head right when they asked that. And I didn't think about it, and I shot myself in the foot, like doing it for way cheap, or just said some ridiculous number that wasn't based on anything. So I've learned the hard way to like, you know, not really do that. So I'm going to just show you quickly from my experience what like how you should price your work, and a quick way to show you what you should charge: hourly, day rate, project rate. Let's just go over this really quick. So at the top, you have free and cheap. Free and cheap, like I've definitely been there. I've made so many projects for free or super cheap. And I think when you're first starting out, it's a big temptation to do things for free. And there's definitely like some value in that. You're able to make relationships or kind of just like start building your portfolio because you don't really like trust yourself enough to charge. And you're thinking like, no one else is going to trust me to do this. So you probably just go for free. If you work for free or cheap, it's okay, but you really want to ask yourself, you know, if I do this, will I get more work from this? Will I show this on my portfolio? And if I show this on my portfolio, am I going to be proud of it? And will it lead to more work? That's when you can decide like, you know, is it worth it to do it for free or cheap? The next one is hourly. Hourly is okay, but it's a disservice because the faster you are, the less you earn. And it's also like a pain to log your hours every time and have to like justify them to whoever's paying you. Because a lot of times there might even be a question of like, did he overcharge me the hours? Or you might be thinking that you're like, oh, you're self-conscious that they think I'm overcharging the hours. So it's just kind of messy. It does you a disservice, and it's also kind of a disservice to the person hiring you. So the next step is just doing a day rate. Day rates are the world that I primarily live in. That's what I found the most studios live in, and pretty much it's almost like what's expected as an artist. And if you don't know what your day rate is, I'll show you how you can quickly get it using ChatGPT. So we'll just hop into ChatGPT and we're going to put in this exact prompt. Give me an estimated day rate range for a freelance, and then we'll plug in our role based in your city. So for me, for example, I would say give me an estimated day rate range for a freelance animator based in Los Angeles. And then we'll just tell it a short description of what we do specifically so that it could be a little more accurate in the results. And lastly, we'll include a day rate for a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level. That way we can kind of gauge the different price ranges. So instantly we'll get a rough ballpark, and we kind of just have to refine it based off our experience level. And we have to actually just test it out on jobs that we get. And then once you have your baseline, you can kind of just raise it slowly until it starts to feel a bit too high. And as you advance, obviously you are going to be able to charge more. Lastly, we have project rates, and the project rates are like the ultimate place to be because now we're running the show and we're bringing in the clients. And so to calculate your project rate, you're going to use your day rate. We calculate the amount of days that we need to finish the project. And then on top of that, we're going to factor in profit. Profit is usually 20 to 30% of the project total. And the reason we have profit is to cover things like risk, like if the client forgets to pay, things like subscription, just overhead fees that you have to use as a business. At first, it might feel weird charging a profit, but don't feel bad about it because every business in the world has to make a profit to stay in business. So this final step is the biggest thing that took me from making tens of thousands of dollars a year as a solo artist to making over six figures a year for multiple years in a row. And that is think like a studio. So for me personally, the biggest challenge I always faced as a solo artist was like my work was doing great online. I was going viral, getting a ton of views, and clients were coming to me, and that was awesome. But the problem I faced was that they came to me and viewed me just as a solo artist. So when the budgets talk came, if I was trying to charge more than like $20,000, it was kind of like, whoa, man, that's too much. Like I thought you were just one guy. I thought you could do all this on your own. So the biggest tip that I learned from someone in the industry was that if I wanted to charge more, I needed to appear as a team because people will understand that it costs more if there are more people on the job. For example, if I have me, I have another 3D artist, a VFX guy, motion graphics guy, sound effects person, producer, they're going to understand that there are more people and it's just going to cost more. You know, that's like hiring a construction crew to get the job done versus a handyman. So I'm not saying to pretend if you have a team, if it's just you, but the fact of the matter is that you're probably wearing multiple hats as a solo artist. You probably know many things, like you might be able to do 3D and then also do VFX. So when you are making your budget, make sure to put yourself as a 3D guy and a VFX person because these are all different skills that you bring to the table and each of these have value. So for me, the most important person to have on my team was a producer, someone to handle the calls, someone to handle the emails, the budgets, being able to say no or push back on clients. The producer is someone that just took all that weight off of me and was able to do it better than me. And when we'd get on calls, suddenly the way people viewed me shifted. Like I stopped being seen as just the single social media guy and started being seen as an actual team, like a studio that could handle these bigger projects. And that completely changed the budgets and conversations I was having. And it ultimately took me from making tens of thousands to six figures a year. So everything we talked about today works right now, but 3D and AI are changing rapidly. So if you want to stay ahead of that curve, I've got more videos that dive into the future of 3D right here. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.